Bonjour, Montreal. Last week it was Miramichi. This week it's Montreal. We're moving east. In a few weeks it will be Ontario. And we'll see. We might actually make it out to the Rockies. So uh, you just never know where we're going to be. This morning I have a very distinguished guest to me because he's very knowledgeable. And I bow down to him. And we have Rick Scherer here this morning from Network Fusion, right? So let's bring in the fella. He's waiting in the wings. He's been so patient. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Judith, and everybody on Facebook Live that is watching this one-of-a-kind interview here. And we're rocking and rolling.
We're rocking and rolling. Ricky, you're coming from, sorry, you know what? I hate Judy, and I just called you Ricky.
Well, my real name is Ricky.
Oh, it is?
It is, and it's spelled with the most bizarre way, Rickie, not Y or EY. God knows what my parents were thinking.
Is that a Queens thing?
It could be. It could very well be. My mom was a Jersey girl, my dad in New York.
That's the Jersey girl coming out.
Actually, Jamaica, New York.
Ah, okay.
People say Jamaica. I say no, I just met her.
Oh, that's so bad. So you grew up in New York?
Yes, I did.
Queens?
In Queens.
Have you lived there all your life?
Yeah, well, all of my single life, yes. I was actually went to local schools in Queens, and then I moved on to college at Long Island University division of that, CW Post.
Okay.
In Greenville. Happy to say I graduated with a dual major, math and psychology. God knows what you can do with those as a combination.
Okay, neither are my strong points. Hey, we've got some Facebook users on here, but it's not showing their names. It says hello. Doesn't say who they are. That's too bad. All right, so at any rate, math and psychology? So
Absolutely.
how did you get into, no, before we do that, when you were a little boy, Ricky, what did you want to do when you growed up?
Interesting question. It's been a long time since I was a little boy. I actually wanted to do something that was technical.
Okay.
From a standpoint, I could always remember my dad, who was sort of very what word should I use here? Ingenious in fixing things and making things. We had this basement that you could die for as far as a tool goes, and jars of nuts and bolts and screws, and anything needed to be fixed, whether he had the right part or not, found a way to fix it. I can even remember a time where he actually brought home a pinball machine with these lights and he said, "All right, guys, take it apart." So we always wanted to know, how things work, take them apart, put them back together. I come from a pretty large family of siblings. I have 4 siblings, 2 males and 3 females.
So
5 in
that's
total.
looking that up. Okay.
5 in total.
Thank you.
5 siblings. 4.
I thought your math was not my strong point.
But a very, very close-knit family.
Yeah.
I mean, each of us would give the shirt off our back to each other, and still to this day. Most of my family is in Florida. In fact, aside from a sister in Arizona, I've got a brother and sister in Florida. Last sister moved from Florida to South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
So it's pretty much spread at this point, but a very close-knit family.
Did you tinker with cars growing up? You must have.
I actually did, anything that was needed on a car, whether it was oil change, brake job, or even replacing an engine in our driveway with my pops one time.
Excellent.
Very, very mechanically oriented.
Very good. When you wanted to do something technical or whatever when you grew up, but I'm guessing you maybe didn't think you were going to end up where you are today.
True. I've actually been in sales and management most of my life. I actually helped a company, a startup company, mom and pop on the kitchen table, to grow to over $4 million in sales. So I was very, very integral in having that company go from nothing to a really nice, sizable company. Then decided to branch out on my own. From that point, I actually opened my own electronics sales in a flea market, running 3 days a week, going to buy products once a week, and it was called Rick's Electronics.
There you go.
At that point, got involved in computers and then just migrated to developing websites. I actually wanted to work with a company that was in network support, two-man operation. And I approached them one day with a very interesting offer. I said, I want to be a third owner. I don't want to pay a penny, but I guarantee in the next 3 months, I will double your income from sales. And they said, fine. Thus, I became an owner, third owner of Network Fusion. And at this point, I actually own it outright. And the original precept was technical support, helping clients on networking and computer repair and just maintenance.
Excellent.
And that migrated into a business that I do web designs, I do websites, I do video marketing. And now at this point, one of the hot features is online reputation. So Excellent. That's really the migration of it.
So where did the wife come in?
The wife came in 2 years after college. I was married for close to 26 years. I'm divorced for probably 20 now. I've got two wonderful children. One is 40, the other one is 42. The younger one is in advertising, worked for a very prestigious advertising company in Manhattan. And he lives in Brooklyn. My daughter lives in North Carolina, and she works for an insurance agency. I also have two wonderful grandchildren. Summer Noel, who's 12 years old, North Carolina.
Summer Noel.
And our newest addition is Charles J. in Brooklyn, and he's 15 months old now, just walking and saying a word or two.
How do you like being a grandpa?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I also have two stepchildren from a life mate of close to 15 years. I met the kids when they were 8 and 10, and today they're 27 and 25. 25-year-old is still living with me. And of course, I had parted with my my life mate about 6-8 months ago on a friendly depart, and still her son's living with me, so it's all good.
That's what I was trying to put the pieces together. Like wife comes and then life mate is afterward. That was a technical term I had not really.
Domestic partner, if you will, is lots of terms for them.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So where does Scott fit into this?
Well,
Scott, right?
Yes.
And Scott, we all know Scott. He's a member of the group. So where do you and Scott hook up?
Well, going back now, probably want to say about a year ago, I actually was on a webinar and was very intrigued with his online review tool. I'm very intrigued with his process of delivering. And the precept was to give it away to a client for 30 days for free. And then, charge them a recurring small fee for this online review tool that helped with their reputation. I was pretty aggressive in my sales history with that. And then Scott realized some of my skills, including video expertise, including web design. And over time, Scott asked me to do some tasks, helping out other members. And it actually grew into a full partnership with Scott now, where we're developing other products and other game plans and other real interesting stuff coming down the pike. So it basically evolved. And it's great working with Scott.
Excellent. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I would love to go back to St. Bart's. St. Bart's is a beautiful, beautiful tiny island, and I'd love to go back there.
Are there some other places that you've traveled that you'd like to talk about?
I've actually traveled to Europe. I've been to Spain. I've been to Italy. I've been to Barcelona, Spain. I'm
trying to envision you running ahead of the bull.
No bulls.
No bulls. Okay.
No bulls. I've actually also been to Morocco.
Morocco, where?
Tangier.
Tangier. Okay, I went further south. Yeah, okay. I was in Agadir.
So I've had my vacation tours in my youth. But of all of them, I think St. Bart's is really one that stands out.
The weather, the food, the people, location?
Location, food, just the ambiance. It's a very, very elite, very small island. Just a pleasurable place to go.
I would figure that with all the stars and whatnot who hobnob there, that it's a fairly expensive place.
It is very expensive, yes. Fortunately, one of my clients specializes in St. Bart's and was able to get me some really rock bottom pricing.
How do you specialize in a country?
Pardon?
How do you specialize in a country?
Well, you specialize in St. Bart's, and she caters to people who are interested in St. Bart's. In other words, she doesn't do a wide assortment of travel for her clients, and she's got a website called go2stbarts.com.
Oh, okay.
It specializes, and St. Bart's has probably 300 plus villas and probably about 30 hotels. Very expensive. A villa for a week could cost anywhere from $8,000 up to $80,000 for a week. So it's a very pricey location.
So the next time you go,
I will bring you.
Since you're single.
Well, I do want to give you a shout out that your birthday is coming up in 2 days. So
oh God, yes.
Happy birthday. And you and I are both Geminis. I don't know if that means something.
Well, yeah, it does. When is your? Wait a minute, you just had a birthday.
I just had one, May 31st.
Actually, thanks for reminding me, because I did see that when I was lurking about on your site. Mm-hmm. Happy belated birthday, and I meant to mention it, so please forgive me.
Thank you so much, and happy pre to you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really sweet. What would you do if you weren't doing what you were doing? Is there something else, whether it's fine dining, cuisine, like being a chef, mountain trekking? Is there anything else that maybe you haven't done yet, long in the tooth as we are, that you might like to have? Or maybe?
From a career standpoint, I really can't see myself doing anything else. I mean, people talk about, what are you going to do when you retire?
To hell with a career, okay? Let's go personal.
Me? Oh, okay.
Because we
Well,
know what you do. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about the career. I'd like to get to know you.
I'd love to do skydiving.
It's
I
fabulous.
definitely would. Um, Bungee jumping, a little bit too frightful.
Careful where you go.
That's one of my bucket list items.
Uh-huh.
Well, you mentioned before hiking and camping. I love both of those.
Great.
I actually was a scout leader for almost 8 years, and did many hikes and campouts, even in winter survival campout. I just love training and helping young kids become leaders. So that was something I absolutely loved, and I'm
Excellent.
proud to say my son is an Eagle Scout, which I think it's only 3% of scouts can achieve that. So I was,
Oh,
and I continued in scouting even after he became Eagle and went to college. So I just didn't do it for his sake. I actually loved it.
I could see you with your personality and your capabilities, certainly um, being very involved in all that kind of thing and being a wonderful leader. I
Thank
think,
you.
yeah.
Appreciate hearing that.
Um, well, I took kids from underprivileged camp. This is hilarious, actually. It's about you, not me, but it just reminded me. Uh, there was a group of, we called it Silver City, a poverty pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, outside Ottawa. And poverty, I'm talking ground for the floor and beer cartons for the walls. But lots of beer around and a car, because those are the two components that every Canadian has to have, apparently. So nothing else but that. So we took the kids to do something different. We took them camping.
Nice.
And in the middle of the night, they were having trouble settling down. And maybe you should have been there to help me figure this out. Because I'm not a camper. I didn't want to go, but I'm there for the kids. And I was like 18 or something, so really, really green. So we're bedding down for the night. The kids are crying. And I've got 8 kids in the tent. And what's happening? Do you know? And this breaks my heart. They couldn't get to sleep without the rats curling up against them.
Oh my God.
But there was light in the tunnel. There were skunks. And
Ah,
oh my God, in the morning we woke up and there were 3 skunks sleeping with us in the tent.
oh my God. How dangerous is that?
Okay, kids, one by one, quietly. See, you could have helped me. There you go.
I definitely could. And just a little side note with my scouting career, it actually rubbed off on my daughter,
Hmm.
who actually got a job at a Boy Scout camp in the kitchen. She loved it herself. So it's
Excellent.
definitely embedded in our blood.
For sure. That's grand. Because there's a lot of people who just, they're in a technical business,
Mm-hmm.
and they sometimes just don't realize you got to stop and smell the flowers every once in a while.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There's more to life than just sitting at a computer and being creative. You got to get out. You got to do things.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
Although
trying to learn that now.
I don't follow what I preach.
Ah,
And I got to stop doing that. Definitely got to.
join classes, right? What bugs you the most about this business?
Well, uh, of late, I've realized that I'm in a people business. And sometimes, no matter how many times you can tell people, you can teach them or try to teach them, sometimes it just doesn't sink in. And it's like, didn't I tell you that 5 times? And am I not communicating? Did you miss something? So I'm bugged.
Anyone in particular there, Ricky?
No, not at all. But that does bug me when, again, maybe it's my inadequacies in in being able to explain it, or the focus is so short. And I understand from a psychology standpoint that, the memory, you can be taught something today, but if you don't repeat it and use that from a perspective of thinking it has value, then it's out of your brain. Your brain can only hold so much information. And memory has to do with your brain actually deciding whether that's something important to you or not, and then sort of clearing space for new stuff to come. So the more you repeat it, think about it, use it, understand it, the more your brain says, well, I think that's important. I'm going to keep it in your gray matter. But I guess that's my psychology kicking in.
Doesn't hurt. I know that it often annoys me that you can tell me something now, and for whatever reason, my receptors are not open to receiving, and I've muted you, as it were, and it just does. It's not absorbed, and
Right.
yet 5 minutes from now, you can tell me, and I'm ready, and I get it. And I'm a very visual learner, so it's. For me, it's not only hearing what the instructions are, but either following through or seeing something. So
Right. It also has to do with your frame of mind of when you're trying to absorb this.
what frame?
If you're preoccupied and thinking about something else, and like you said, maybe your receptors are turned off and you're hearing it, but you're not absorbing it.
The lights are on and nobody's home.
Exactly.
A common problem.
Thus the name of your podcast.
There you go. I missed that opportunity the other day, actually, when I should have said, you can't be serious. I must remember that from time to time. That was a wonderful name that Christopher Knight came up with, and I appreciate his input.
And when I was watching your very first one, I actually did not know the name of it. And, you and Chris were having this bantering, and you kept on saying, you can't be serious. And he said, Judith, I really don't know the name of this. I thought that was a sincere play, and you were just being coy with him.
No, it's for real.
Yes.
I must advertise a little bit more, maybe. Yes. It's difficult for me even to remember the name of it.
Well, I can hook you up with a good digital marketing agency for advertising if you'd like.
Oh, that'd be fabulous. Listen, hook me up. Beam me up, Ricky.
We'll make you some video Facebook headers to explain what you're doing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did I not meet you somewhere else originally?
I'm not sure.
Video remix?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I actually, at one point in time, captured every one of those. With your logo in the background? You were nominated something, correct? Or
an innovator.
Innovative, yes.
Innovator.
Okay.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, Dean, the good old Dean.
Good old Dean Machine, yeah. It's fun, but of course, there's a lot of us who sort of mingle and see each other's some common players. I mean, a lot of us are familiar with the Little Sisters, and Dropmock and Jamie and Dean and Ryan, and there's a whole crew that kind of swirl around. So it trying to stay away from the shiny objects gets very difficult.
Oh, it does.
But I put my foot down. I have put my foot down. I'm
I
not.
as well, and I've actually given up on some of the shiny objects, from a recurring payment standpoint that I knew I absolutely wouldn't use, although I still think they're great. But you got to come to a realization at some point and say, listen, I have too much. I'm never going to use XYZ. I'm paying $27, $37, $47 a month. Let's just cut that out. Go back to basics. Find one thing that works and use it.
Yes. And I adopted the policy that until I've made something with that last shiny object and paid for that, and maybe with any luck at all made enough money to buy the next shiny object, then it just doesn't work.
Right.
We've got some questions coming in. It's fabulous. People, keep them coming in. Alberta, good morning. How many businesses have you had?
Do we want to go back to my paper boy or my soda jerk?
You were a soda jerk?
I was the soda.
Oh, okay, I know what that is. Just a minute. That just took me a minute.
Good old A creams from a soda machine that you had to pull the handle down.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
So is that the same as the beer in the?
Nah, little similar, but it was a device that put out seltzer water. When you pulled it in one direction, the other direction, you got the syrup. So a little bit different mechanics, but very similar. Yes.
Okay. So altogether, would you say you've been in 3 businesses or 10 businesses or 25?
I would say I've been in a total of about 6 businesses.
That's pretty good. I mean, no one very rarely, I shouldn't say no one, very rarely do we all have a success first kick at the can. That's for sure. And it takes a little while, I think, for us to settle in and figure out which one's really going to be us.
Exactly. And then you have to make a decision whether you want to be in a position for in working with somebody as an employee, or you want to just go out on your own and try and develop a business where you're not necessarily working it alone, but bringing in a team of others to build and work on that.
Would you rather be in a team or alone?
I'd rather be in a team.
Why?
Again, the key is finding the right players to be in that team. This way, the delegation of work is not only on yourself. It could be spread around, and the results can be multiplied. You know, I've learned a long time ago, and then this is going back when I was in Amway. They have a very, very...
Oh, my God, Amway.
Yes.
Whoa, we go back.
they have a phrase called MYTOP, MYTOP. And that stands for multiply yourself through other people.
A lot to be learned. Excellent.
Yeah, I actually had my whiteboard. I did the plan. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I was pretty active in that for a while.
Excellent. And I think it's good to go into different corporate setups to see just how they're run and what happens, and to learn what you like and what you don't like and what you would do with your company. Yeah, what works and what doesn't. What is anything exciting coming up on the horizon? Anything you want to talk about from your end of the farm?
Well, we've got some very exciting things coming up with a partnership with Scott and with Christopher. A little bit premature to talk about, but I'm super excited about the direction that this is going, even outside of the, what as the beta. But it's extremely exciting, and it's based upon an educational theme. And when that rolls out, I think it's going to be a tremendous asset to Chambers, if you will. But I don't want to go too much in detail. But I'm just super excited about its progress and the direction that it will go.
Excellent. Do you see yourself doing something entirely different after that is finished? It's a big project.
Yeah.
So do you, and you're not 22 anymore. So do you see yourself wanting where's your vision for when you're 65 and not ready to retire?
Since I passed that point quite a while ago, 65 that is. I really, honestly, I don't have a vision outside of that, because I think this project can be, the the peak, if you will, of projects.
Okay. Good enough. Excellent. Uh, Final question. Are you ready?
No, but give it to me anyway.
I'll give it to you, Ricky. If there's one thing that you could change in your life, do different, take back, not necessarily regret, but what would you change, if anything?
I actually heard you ask Christopher that, and I asked myself that same question, and I wasn't something that I just thought about for 3.5 seconds. It was a deep thought
Oh,
process, and I would say nothing.
excellent.
Nothing. I mean, you are who you are. Even to dream that you can go back and change something, the outcome of that single change would most probably upset your entire life as far as who you are, who your family is, and where you are today. So I would say nothing.
Excellent. The um, the chamber leaders mastermind group. What are your feelings on that?
My feelings are, I think, from a standpoint of the project that we have on the table, I think is an excellent concept. What we're looking to do is to have a proof of concept through a group of members, all diverse in their skill set.
Mhm.
And I believe that, once we fine tune the steps and the program, I think it can grow, tenfold, 100-fold. I mean, I think this thing could take off. It has legs.
Excellent.
But you said that was your last question before, and you
Oh
asked about.
no,
But keep on going. I'm here.
I'm a woman. I can change my mind, Ricky.
Well, you've got the live play button and can bring it up
I
at any
do.
time.
Well, I had the intention that I thought maybe kind of keep it to around half an hour. But was there anything else that you wanted to share or cover that I haven't asked you about?
No, I think you're an excellent moderator. I think you've got something on the table here with your Saturday morning live presentations and
Thank you.
interviews, and they're I'm interested in seeing the next series and who's going to come up on your battleground, if you will. And
I'm gaining a reputation here already.
no, and Christopher, I actually took off my bulletproof vest and my helmet before we went live. I figured if I can't handle little old Judith, I shouldn't be talking, or I shouldn't be in this people business.
Well, I appreciate your candor and openness, and I've really enjoyed this very much.
Well, thank you. I have as well.
Ah, excellent. Thank you very much for joining us, Rick. Next week we're going to have Bob Mencken on. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, get Bobby. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've got a couple other people lined up down the road. Um, I would also like to remind everyone that um, on Wednesday, of course, at our 3 o'clock meeting, it's going to be a little bit different. Chris Knight has lowered the bone, lowered
Boom.
the boom. Not really. You know what? It's in French, and I can't. Comment dit en anglais? Je pense que c'est français. It's not coming right now. Maybe in Arabic or Chinese we can just spit it out. It's going to be completely different because, as you know, in chambers we don't come on and toot our horn and ply our wares. It's not about that, right? So there's no sales in the group. However, on Wednesday, it's open mic and 5 minutes of fame. So everybody gets to, everyone that is interested can come on as long as we've got the time and talk about their projects. 5 minutes. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be fun.
That should be a lot of fun. Yes.
Let's hope the members step up to the plate and participate. And you know what? If nothing else, I think it's important to get up there in front of a camera. Like, not everyone is as comfortable. I mean, obviously you are, and I'm reasonably comfortable in front of the camera. So not everybody is, though. It's a horror story and a nightmare for many people. But this is chamber. You're among friends. I think that it's a good opportunity for people to get out and give it a try.
And I think adding to that, it's a great opportunity to see yourself, how you're presenting your product. And maybe you like what you say, maybe you need to polish things, but it'll actually give you the benefit of what others are seeing in how you present your product, or even what your product is about.
Right.
Excellent idea.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you again for the invite, and do have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you on the next time.
All right. Thanks very much, Rick. Bye, everybody.
Bye.